by the U.S. Constitution that inflicts attainder without judicial process. Meaning, they convict you of something like a traffic ticket without having a trial by jury. That's what that means. You need to go through the judicial process in order for them to charge you something. So what a bill of attainder would be is you driving, no registration, no license, and they want to tow your car and take it. In order for you to get it back, you got to pay them. That's a bill of attainder. They didn't go through judicial process to take your property, number one. Now, to get it back, you got to pay them to get it back, right? And no judge said you were guilty when you're supposed to be innocent until proven guilty. So to pay a fine or a towing fee is a bill of attainder. You didn't go through the judicial process, and I'm paying to get my property back. You didn't get permission from a court to even take my car. That's all bill of attainder. Guess what else is a bill of attainder? Driver's license. You telling me I have to get a driver's license, and if I don't get one, you're going to fine me, and guess what? I got to come to you to get it. You making me get something, and I got to pay you to get it. That sounds like extortion to me. Right? Isn't that? We just do these things mindlessly, and they're not right. You're saying I am required to have this in order to not get stopped, to be in compliance, but I got to pay you to get it. Why can't I just have it as a benefit and get it free? Give it to me if you're making it a requirement. That's like you coming to my house. Hey man, you can have it. You got to come to my house to eat. Come to my house and eat. But now I'm gonna charge you, eat my food. But you got to come. You gonna look at me like, are you crazy? Right? So they got you eating at a table without giving you a choice. That's a bill of attainder. And it forbids that. Ex post facto law. That's a law. Anything law they wrote after this, and it contradicts this, is ex post facto law. So all of your driver's license laws, all those codes and statutes, those laws are ex post facto law. Because now you're being punished for something that wasn't a law back then. So driver's license, IRS laws, all of those are ex post facto laws. And you can use this to defend. I stick this, I had open, like with that debt with the IRS, the state tried to take my bank account. IRS wasn't bothering me because I had them at bay, but I was sending something to the state. The state was ignoring it, didn't respond to letters, so they went into one of my bank accounts and took about $100, right? For this $2,400 debt that they said I owed. So all I did was take the Constitution and stick it in their face, and then they backed off. I said, he said, well, you owe this money. I said, did y'all get a court order to say I owe this money? Well, we don't have to. I said, the Constitution says you got to go through judicial process in order to get this money. Bill of attainder. So they took my money without judicial process. That's a bill of attainder. That's another example. Okay? All that stuff they're doing is wrong. All right. Right. They did it without a court order. And the bank giving up your money. Did I give you permission to give my money to someone else? Without a court order? Child support, same way. They don't be having court orders. They just be sending these things saying you owe, and then your job give them the money. But you don't know what you're looking at. You think it's right. So here's another one. All courts shall be public, and every person shall have speedy remedy therein for wrong sustained. So when they take you to jail and you sit in 2 or 3 days in jail, they're supposed to take you to the judge immediately. You're not supposed to sit there and wait on the judge to get in. They're supposed to take you before that judge as soon as they got you, because what y'all don't understand is there's 2 types of warrants. There's an arrest warrant, and there's a warrant to incarcerate you. Most times they only have the arrest warrant. Okay, we got him. Now, before we go to jail, we need to get a warrant to have him in jail. That's why you ever go to, I've been in that position before. They said, well, you can't see the judge until the warrant gets here. You ever heard that term? Never? You can't see the judge until a warrant comes. They tell you that. They be open with it. Your warrant's not here, so you can't see the judge. Then I ain't supposed to be in jail because the judge can't see you without having a warrant in front of him. So you're not supposed to be locked up without a warrant. They're supposed to have a warrant to have you in jail. This arrest is different from incarceration. There's two different warrants. The arrest is just to take you into custody. And then you got to go see the judge, and then the judge writes the custody order. You see? Everything has to be done by judicial process when it comes to putting someone in jail. But they skip those steps all the time. And that's what I exploit. Because they do it backwards. They take you to jail before they even have the arrest warrant. Then they put you in jail before they have the custody warrant. You see? Yes, you can. But I would sue the insurance because they all have bonds. So you just sue the insurance. See, once an officer gets sued against the insurance, then he becomes unbondable. He can't be a police officer. That's the best way to get an officer off the force. And the second best way to get him is something no one ever used. It's through civil rights violation. You go to FBI.gov and say he violated your civil rights and point out that he didn't have any of these things. And then they're going to ask you, is it a pattern of abuse? Check that off. The FBI got to investigate. And
see, anything you have fear of, you are making it your God. Because God didn't give you the spirit of fear. That's clearly said in the Bible. He didn't give you give yourself that by choosing false gods. See, false God is not just a golden calf that you worship. A false God is when you get into a situation and you think that situation is bigger than God. That becomes your God in that moment because you think this situation is more powerful than the God that gave you life. Our success and failure is not dependent on what the government do, what Trump do, what Kamala do, what issues she supports and what issues she. Our success is not dependent on that. I can tell you one thing, our failure is dependent on that. Because if you sitting up there looking for them to make changes for you, I guarantee you that's a recipe for failure for you. Because that's not the God you're supposed to be looking at. You're supposed to be looking at the God in you. And the God in you says, don't worry about tomorrow. Because tomorrow has its worries of its own. Do I not feed the birds in heaven? And I know every hair on your head. I can count them. So I already know what you need. I already know what you want. And I'll give you what you need. And I'll give you what you want. All you have to do is put forth the kingdom of heaven first. Then all these things will be added to you.
Yeah, so I think the 24th we're gonna go visit Portugal because actually, you know, with all I'm here to tell you, you can be successful. You can do it if you're persistent in blocking out the negative interference, persistent in keeping on your goals, and make a definite plan of how you're going to accomplish it, what you want it to look like. See it as if it's already built that way. Peace. What's up? Make sure my mic's working. You know how that be. Come back, settings be all changed. I hope everybody's having a good December the 22nd. What, 8 days, 9 days left to the month? And then we will be in 2025. It's here. It's here. Which is good because it's exciting because now you can reflect on this past year and decide changes you want to make. Right? Everyone, right? I believe everyone should be doing this. You know, for a while, a large part of my life, I would just go year to year. It's just another year. Yeah, people say it's just another year, without any aim, without any goals, without any aspirations. Just looking for a few days off for the holiday and to go back to work, clock in on this job that you really don't like, and you really don't have a good outlook for the upcoming year because your life is saddled with a work-life balance. children. But what makes life exciting for me is looking at the year that I'm in now, and all of the things I've accomplished, all the things I didn't accomplish, all the goals I missed, and all the goals I did miss, and saying, okay, where can I improve and make this next year even bigger than it was before? Those are the things that makes life exciting. If you're just trying to figure those things out. See, too many of us are too busy worrying about other people, thinking about other people and what they're doing and not doing and stuff like that. Like, this is what social media is one of the biggest culprits of that, right? They put in front of you everybody else's business to watch. So while you're watching someone else's business and what they're doing and not doing, what they're doing right or wrong, or what you label as right or wrong, by the way, the title of the show is Labels, right? What you label as good and bad, you're not thinking about your own business. And that's the goal, right? That is truly the goal of what television programming is, social media. The real goal is to get a bunch of people on a platform and get them so distracted away from their purpose that all they can care about is what someone else's purpose is, or what someone else's idea of what their purpose is supposed to be. That's what it's about. And this is why these platforms are so popular, because they put forth negative things for the most part for you to watch. Wow, look what that person is doing. I can't believe they're doing that. That's crazy. And then you're spending time commenting. And you know, if you put a comment, I've experienced this. I know you put a comment on somebody, you might get a few likes. I mean, there's always someone who comes in and has a negative idea, no matter how innocent you put that comment, idea of what you say. And I think that's done on purpose. There's trolls out there. I think there's AI trolls that just go in and just press buttons so people can go back and forth about something just to keep engagement up. Because some of the responses that you see is like, well, how can somebody even respond off of that? It's because it's all manipulation in order to get you locked in on this little device instead of locked in here and locked in with a pencil and paper and writing down what you want for yourself. You see? Distractions. And speaking of labels, that's the title. I just put one word, labels. Because I wanted you to think about that. I wanted you to think, why did he put labels? What is he talking? I wanted you kind of trying to figure it out for yourself. And hopefully some divine inspiration got you to thinking. We like to label everything. We got to have a name, right? We like to label things so much. Our parents labeled us with a name, gave us a name. I'm going to, already prepared your name before you even came to the I'm going to call my son this and my daughter this. We're going to do all of these things. And that's very important, right? What is your name? AKA, what is your label? Who are you? And as you came into this world, people gave you a label, gave you a name. And they even gave you ideas of what you should and shouldn't do. The way who you should worship. Hold on, time out for a second. I'm going to play a video real quick, and I'll be right back.
So you got to go on a route that I just spoke on, get that lean. Like, I'm in a situation like that. Everything you're saying, I've been through, right? I got a Nissan Titan, 2012, I bought. Then I started learning this information, and guys told me I could discharge it. I tried, man, listen, It ain't nothing you could bring me that I didn't either try or even looked into. And I can tell you if it works or it don't work. That discharge crap don't work. So when people come bringing that to you, discharges, don't lose your property following that. Trust me, y'all gonna run into that. Right? So I did all that, did the discharge, wrote these money orders up, got brought into court, questioned, almost got this, but I was smart enough to be able to answer the questions appropriately. So finally, the bank brought me into court. This is how I know you can shut lawyers down in the courts. I've been there. I'm not telling you something I've read on a piece of paper. I did it. So the lawyer comes in. They did what you call a claim 420 to get the vehicle back. But I said, I don't have a vehicle. It was here in Georgia. This is in South Carolina. I don't have a vehicle. The vehicle is not in my possession. Said, you know where it is? I said, it's not in my possession. They kept trying to get me to say, give them where it was. So when I got my turn to speak, I said, first of all, I want everything this lawyer says stricken for the record because he's a stranger to me. He's an attorney representing the bank, and the bank's not here. And the judge said, you're absolutely right. And I screwed up by saying more than I should have. I should have shut up right then and there. And I started saying, well, I don't know.
All right, sorry. Hope y'all enjoyed that little clip talking about court. But anyway, I had to go check my dog. He was doing all this barking and making noise. It was distracting. So we talking about labels and how you've been given a label from the time you exited your mom's womb. And this is what you have identified with for most of your life. This is my label. This is my name. You had no choice in that name. I mean, you might even appreciate the name. Not saying that, hey, be upset about being named. The purpose of me saying this is to get people to understand that most of the things we do and most of the things we believe in is simply based on an idea that someone gave us to believe in. I was born in India, East India. I would most likely be Hindu or whatever the mainstream religion is of that place, right? If I was born in Israel, Judaism, right? And the list goes on. Just depends on where you were born and who you were exposed to and what their exposure was to the things what they were exposed to. So you're being exposed to generations of teachings just by default. Not by choice, by default, this is what my peoples are doing. This is what we do. No real foundational understanding other than what they told you. And you're being led along basically with an invisible leash of information. And yet, people will die for these things. People will fight over these belief systems, these labels. Don't you call me out my name, and ready to fight. A name they didn't even choose. Like I said, the purpose of this is to stop and think, where do I get my labels from? Where am I getting my identity from? What is my identity? And this is why so many people are lost, because their identity is not their chosen identity. The label they gave themselves or they allowed themselves to have through influence is not by their own choosing, even though they believe that they chose it. It's all by cultural influence, surrounding, how you being brought up, who's talking to you. So in order to change anything, you got to understand the source of what your current success and failures are. You got to understand what the true source of it. Now, some of you listening to me might say, well, based on what you're saying, it's my mom and dad's fault. It's all of these people's fault and their relatives' fault. No, it's not. It's not their fault. It's none of their fault. There's only one person that's responsible. It's you. Because at some point, when you were a kid, you accepted it. You just went along with it. But at some point, you became an adult and you made a decision to keep that acceptance going. Now you become responsible now. You're responsible now that, hey, well, it's kind of screwed up, right? You know, you've been exposed to this and this is all you know. This is all you've been programmed to do. So you're doing it by default, right? It's kind of screwed up. But at some point, there's a God in you that said something ain't right. There's a small voice that's very quiet that's whispering, something ain't quite right here. I've been following these traditions. I've been listening. I've been a good son or daughter, and you know, a good try to be a benefit to society, but something ain't right. I can't put my finger on it because something ain't right. I can't put a label on it because something ain't right. Is not right or ain't right in Ebonics terms. Everybody's asked these questions. And if you haven't, then I would say maybe you might not be functioning at a high level, because if you're not questioning something about your existence, then you just going along. And there's people out there that do that. They just kind of whoopsie, just floating along. Clueless. So why is the labels you call yourself so important? Because whatever you call yourself, that's who you are. The I am statements that you're using is what you're going to produce in your material world. What is your I am statement? What? I am a father. I am a husband. I am a wife. I'm a stockbroker. I'm a preacher. All these I am statements. But who am I really? Because see, all of those are subtitles, subheadings of who you really are. All of those are just subtitles. Those are just roles, like being a husband or being a father, being a son, a uncle. Those are subtitles. Because I ain't an uncle to everybody. I'm not a father to everybody. I'm just a father to my children that I help bring into this world. You see? If you're a wife, you are just a wife to that one man. I'm not getting into all the other acronyms. Okay, we talk of a biological man and biological male. This is what I support over here. Okay, so but that's just a subtitle. That is not your true identity. That is not the identity that was given to you by birth. That is not your birthright title. Who are you? Who am I? What is the label? What is it? And most people look for these labels, their identity outside of them. They're looking at it through people, through their family, friends. And they lost. They get lost because when you start looking for these identities outside of you, you're always going to be lost, because no one can tell you who you are, because you are already who you are by simply existing and by birth. So I might have read this chapter, but I think it's fitting. And it's chapter 5, to read it again. Chapter 5 of my book, The the Neville Goddard collection. But whom say ye that I am? The title is Who Am I? But whom say ye that I am? I am the Lord, that is my name, and my glory will I not give to another. I am the Lord, the God of all flesh. This I am within you, the reader, this awareness, this consciousness of being is the Lord, the God of all flesh. I am is he that should come. Stop looking for another. As long as you believe in God apart from yourself, you will continue to transfer the power of your expression to your conceptions, forgetting that you are the conceiver. So, what this is saying is, as long as you believe God outside of you and not the true God within you, you will always be off the mark. And see, and that's I believe, the failing of the church right there. The teachings, how they interpreted your connection and your relationship to God. They always made him look up in the heavens, which you look up to the heavens, look outside of you. And I mean, one of the biggest reasons why I say it is not because of anything I read and come to believe or see, it's my own experience. I mean, the church has been preaching that stuff for years, and people are still more lost today in the church than they were ever before. So if that teaching was on point, why is so many people still lost? But I do know this: when I speak to someone and I say God is within you, you and God are one, for a brief moment, I could see the light in their eyes widening. Like you can see like a light turns on. But then the duality or the conflict within them because of these old teachings, they go back to the old thinking. They get it because something resonated with that. God is in you. You are God of one. And anytime in any most of the scriptures, especially in the New Testament, they talk about becoming one with God. Abide. What is abide? To connect. But how do you connect? You have to connect with the God in you, the truth of who you are. Everyone was sent here with a divine purpose in mind, a divine calling on their life, whatever it is. I can't define that for you. You do. Everyone has that ability. They said when you go to these churches, oh, got this one main character in the church who's the pastor, preacher, who's, sometimes they'll say crazy things like, you can only get the truth from me. That's a lie. And as a church, some people even say that the devil is a lie. That's not true. The one true source of your truth is within you already. The only problem is you forgot. And why did you forget? Because your truth of you was overwritten by teachings from your family, teaching from your friends, your exposure, what you were exposed to in this material world. There's a divine encoding on your DNA. And this is why whenever you are in conflict with that, you are always in this lost wilderness of your consciousness because you're so disconnected consciously from your divine calling that you don't see the direction you need to go in. See, if you connect to your divine calling, all the material things that you are going to do in this world will fall into place. Your money, your relationships, all of that will just fall into place. I've said this before too. The sin is not the sin, whether it be the wrongdoing that people label as wrong. The sin is not seeing yourself or seeing the God within yourself. That's the sin. Because if you see anything other than that, then problems come. That's where the issues arise because you're disconnected from the source, which is God, which is the God in you. See, we'll pay reverence everywhere else but on ourselves. That person's more special than me. This is why idol worship is just a big, big deal in this country. We worship and idolize people who can sing, people who can play sports, people who can play instruments, or even people who do very well in business. We have these idols and we look at them as they're so much bigger than us. But you have the same power, if not more, than they do. And this was the true calling of Christ, why he came into the world for those 3 years and preached. For those 3 years that he went around teaching. He was teaching them that they can have the same power and can do what he does and even greater. But see, if you see yourself separate from the Christ, or you see yourself different or not worthy, then you will never see the truth of yourself. And in my experience, a person who is really disconnected from source, from the God within them, and you come to them and say that, hey, if you want the Christ to show up, you have to become the Christ. The Christ doesn't arrive or return until he returns within you, in you. I've had people literally get upset when I say that. But they don't get upset when someone calls them, degrade them, or talk down to them. They don't get upset at that. But they get upset when you try to connect them to the Christ mind within themselves. They get mad. That's not true. But then and here's the crazy thing. They don't even really have a real reason why they disagree with you. They just disagree. Because when you slice it down, well, why? And you bring out the Bible and you start connecting dots for them, because they're so programmed. Their true divinity is so overwritten with false information that their only truth is that false information. And anything that goes against it, they're going to fight it. That's almost like being possessed with adversarial teachings. I think it was last week or the week before I said the one that when I talked about, was that last week? See, the weeks are going by so fast that it's a blur. I don't know if I talked about it last week or the week before when I was talking about control. The only true religion is control. We could call it Christianity, Hinduism, Buddhism, whatever. But the only true religion is control. Controlling the mindsets of people to believe in something other than their truth of who they really are. Because if you really think about it, if I was the devil, like if the devil, like say if I was the devil, the best place to start with the control is right there in the religious structures. The things that people hold in high regard. That's the best place to go. To get people, well, give them a teaching that's they think is true, but it's not all the way true, right? Like when the devil approached Eve in the garden, he didn't tell the whole lie. He gave a little bit of truth along with the lie. Because in some regards, they did become like God, knowing good and bad, but they didn't understand what the consequences of good and bad was. They know, but there's a consequence to that. See, they didn't see the other side of the track because all their life up into that point was nothing but receiving the goodness of God. And through their adversarial actions, now they receive what it is to go against what God said. So now they understand. So see, I sit in and I think about these things like, how do I know what I've been taught all my life is on point? And the only way you're gonna figure this thing out is if you go on your own personal quest, because that's what it is, a quest to figure it out. And you gotta scratch it. You gotta like, hey, look, you gotta go like, I don't know anything. Because what I thought I know, I really don't know. And I gotta go back and look at this and get pen notes, get books in, and even you got to go into meditation because to tell you the truth comes to you through the spirit of the God within you. You can start to hear that voice, but it's not a loud voice. It's not a yelling at you, you better do this and that. It's not that. It's a very quiet, direct, what do you call, what's the word I want to use? The directions you get will be very direct. It's a yes or no. There's no in between. Maybe this, may see when there's an in between. Maybe that's the ego kicking in. That's adversarial thinking that comes in, and you start to waver. But it's a yes or no, right or left, up or down, truth or lie. No, you deal with. I'm sure some of y'all dealt with people who've been lying to you, and you ask them a direct question, they get upset. And never give you an answer, or they distract you onto something else because they can't give you a straight up answer. See, but the real truth of you won't do you like that. See, that situation that you're in now, that you might be having a difficult time and you're confused, that means there's some lies there. Because your truth won't leave you confused. And because we like our labels of being in friendship, relationships, we don't let it go. But the truth you are saying, let go. Move on. You're not gonna see what y'all. I said this last week, I think. Again, I'm like, these weeks move by so fast, a blur. You will never get the truth, your true divine blessings, your true divine purposes that you're the mission you're supposed to be on, as long as you have things, situations, and people that ain't supposed to receive that in your life. You won't. It's a solo journey. You can't save anybody else, and no one can save you. Only you can save yourself. And some listen, we heading into 2025, and I know some of y'all sitting there, I got to make a decision on some things, and got some tough decisions to make. Because see, your connection with other people is a connection with other people they have in their life that they're bringing into your life that can disrupt your flow. So that money problem that you might be having right now might not be because it could be because that person you connected to, but it could be because of the person they're connected to that you know nothing about. Mm. Remember, every connection you have This is a little slightly off topic, but it just felt like came up that I need to say this. Every connection you have with a person is a connection with every person they're connected with. And so on and so on, and the list keeps going. So if someone is bringing someone into the table you know nothing about, or you might even know about it, best believe you are in spiritual bed with that person as well. You are in some type of conscious connecting with unconsciously with them as well. Whatever issues they got going on, and that person you're connected with is connected with them, is bringing that spirit over to you. Them demons they got, you gonna get too. See, we don't think that far. We just be thinking that the person you're dealing with. That person, no, it ain't just them you dealing with. This is what they talk about, these legions of demons or bad spirits, whatever you want to call it. You're connected to the ones they got and the ones they attach themselves to through other people and things. That's why it's very important. Associations are crucial to your success. It's one of, to me, the top main thing that decides your fate, whether it's success or failure. And these people might not just be bad people. You know, they could be nice, good to talk to. But remember, everyone has their baggage. There's nobody on this planet that ain't got some baggage. Anybody talking about they ain't got no baggage, and you just watch, you know, that might be Jesus or Christ that just returned. But they got baggage. Remember, in order for Christ to ascend, to go, he had to get rid of baggage. Those disciples not being there was good for him, right? It looked like they abandoned him, but that abandonment was for a purpose, because they couldn't go at that time. They weren't ready. That wasn't their mission. Their mission was for a future date. And the same thing with you. See, you have a personal mission. So these links, these yokes, these contracts, contractual agreements you're getting into with people, it's all connected to why you are where you are today. What you label as a friend, what you label as someone who is loyal, really, has that been tested? Because true friendship is tested. It's always tested. Because we could be good working together today, but tomorrow we may not be good to work together because of some connection that I may not know about, that you have to something else that has come in and taken over, that has caused a problem over here. And we got to understand, one thing that causes us to suffer, the number one thing that causes us to suffer, is the lack of acceptance of what is happening to us right now. See, it's not the problem that's the problem, it's your lack of acceptance of this issue. And saying it shouldn't be like this. Why is this happening to me? And you upset. You are not in alignment with the moment. That means you are not, that label you put that it shouldn't have happened to you. Why not? Why shouldn't it have happened to you? Why shouldn't you have had these problems? Because let me remind you, every problem is an opportunity for you to level up. Because in order to become wise and to become experienced in something, you have to go through things. You have to experience something and say, well, this is not ideal for my existence. I'm moving away from this. Think about it. Right now, 2024, things are being removed from you. These labels they're being removed from you. Let it go. Let them go. Accept it. If it's a problem, accept it. Hey, this is a problem. Uh, let me turn it into an opportunity. Don't sit there and be upset about it and try to be all vengeful or what's the word, upset and depressed over it. Because now now you're doing is putting that problem on repeat, wash, rinse, repeat, just repeating it over and over and over and over, not really getting to a place where you've accepted it and you can move on and grow. This is not a time to judge something or someone for being evil. No, they're just being whoever. Because why? It's like what I said. They got connections that you know nothing about that's causing them to be who they are, whether they want to admit it or not. See, once you start to look at these situations saying, you start to see people differently because everybody's pretty much the same. Everybody is a divine manifestation of God. They came into this world just as innocent as you did. Now they got teachings where there's some people born without souls and all this stuff. We ain't getting into all of that, you know. I could talk about that too. But most people come in exactly the way you are, innocent and nothing but pure divinity. What has caused that purity to diminish over time is exposure to their environment. Just like right now, I could have fresh air in my home, but if something catch on fire and start to burn, now the air becomes toxic. I can't stay here because the air is toxic. I got to move or I'll die. Same thing in your relationships with people. At the moment, it was great, it was fine, and then it changed and it became toxic to your very core. And then you start to see the toxicity manifest themselves and how they relate to difficulty and how they express themselves through those adversities. And you start to realize people are only out for themselves and are out to seek their own pleasure and happiness, not willing to look at this situation and see where the part they played to make things better. They'll go find someone else to have fun with because you ain't making them happy at the time. And vice versa. It could be you who are doing that. But see, people who do that, and if it's you that does that, you're only running from what the real problem is. Because if you have to run to something or someone else for happiness, that means you haven't found true happiness within yourself. You have put a label on your happiness being outside of you. Because true happiness, true contentment comes from within, not out. Everything outside of you is like a benefit or an add-on to your own happiness. You are in charge of happiness over yourself. You in charge of your belief systems. You are 100% responsible for what you believe in and what you hold as true. And then because of that, all the results you get from that is all on you. The labels you choose, the I am you choose. I didn't even finish what it was saying. The I am that you pick and choose for yourself is what you are experiencing right now in this material world. Let me see. The power conceiving and the thing conceived are one, but the power to conceive is greater than the conception. Jesus discovered this glorious truth when he declared, I and my Father are one, but my Father is greater than I. The power conceiving itself to be man is greater than its conception. All conceptions are limitations of the conceiver. So what you conceptualize is a limitation, because it's something I've said, I repeat what Reverend Ike says, you can never get any further than the ideas in your mind. So whatever the idea of you is your limitation. Whatever ideas you believe about yourselves is your limitation. So you have to stop. And this is so on your reflection journey for the new year, you got to ask yourself, these things that I believe in, that I hold as true, are they limiting me from where I really want to go? Let's use money. Say you want to be a millionaire. Why can't you be a billionaire? Why can't you choose billionaire? Why do you choose millionaire? What is the reason why I just want to be a millionaire? Because I'll tell you, I'll give you an idea why you say millionaire. Because in some form of family or some form or thought form, you believe that's what you can realistically achieve. Billionaire is not achievable. That's a lot. See the limitation there? So just like I can think I could be a millionaire, say I am a millionaire, I can say I am a billionaire or I am a trillionaire. Uh, See, it's all your choice. Tomorrow, how realistic is you going to get to the billionaire? Say, it is very realistic. For the current state of affairs or the current system of things that we live in, they would say you're being radical, you're being out of your mind, you're crazy, you didn't come from money. They'll have every reason in the world why you can't be a billionaire. Why? Why do they say it? Because their I am statements say they can't be it. So because their I am statement and misery loves company, they're going to say you can't be it. Or not say it directly, they'll say little things and plant seeds of doubt into your consciousness. And those of you that are connected to friends, relationships, husbands, wives, whatever, what kind of seeds are being planted in your consciousness on a daily basis by the one you're with? See, they ain't always so much the outside people that's the problem. It's the inside people. This people that, see, sometimes the enemy is sitting right there in your house. Y'all want to call devils out. The devil, this is this imaginary being that you got in your head, but sometimes that devil is resting and speaking through the people you hanging with, and you don't even know it. Nah, these my friends. These my peoples. I'm not trying to turn you into enemies of your people, no. What I'm trying to do is get you to realize and accept that the journey that you're on is your journey, not theirs. And they don't have a right to tell you what your journey is or isn't. And you don't have a right to tell them what their journey is in it. That's as simple as I'm putting it. So you need to have what you call boundaries. You don't get to tell me how successful I'm going to be with an idea I got. And that brings me to my other point. Don't tell them nothing. Stop talking to them about it. Sometimes we get these brilliant ideas. We have to really assess who we going to call. Who we going to share with it? Like I had an idea this morning. Like I had this idea. I'm not going to go into the details of the idea because I don't want the left hand to know what the right hand is doing and vice versa. But I know exactly who to call. I had to go through the Rolodex of my mind. Oh, okay, this is a good idea for this. See, when you operate from you ask the spirit who will be best for this, it'll tell you instantly. That person's face and mind picture will pop in your head, and you'll know who to call. See, but you got to ask first. You can't just jump out there. Some of us are just jumping out. And then next you know, you know stepped into a sea of people that got doubt and make you doubt your ideas and all that stuff. Y'all know that. Y'all say, oh, I think, and this, it took a lot of training on my part to even get to this, where I could know who to mention stuff to and who not to. It took time because before I just like, I got this, and then just start talking, and then next you realize, wait a minute, I shouldn't have made that. You're not feeling so good about the idea anymore. And why is that? Because that was an opposer, that was an adversary, that was in some form a hater. Not that they were being purposefully hating. It's just this simple. Whenever a person is not really on their purpose and they haven't figured it out for themselves, the automatic response to your great ideas, your divine ideas, will be opposition. Because anybody sitting in a place of uncertainty about their purpose and goals and stuff like that, when they see someone else who has it together, they'll automatically oppose it because that's the spirit they're living in. Because they're in opposition with themselves. They're an adversary to themselves, their own self. So they're going to be an adversary to you. I just want to peel that back. So if that's how you know who to go to. You look, whether this person, what is their purpose? Do they even know? And if they don't know, then how are they going to understand what you're talking about? Because they don't even understand their own self. And one last thing. I'm not going to read the rest of it. I think I said enough on labels. One last thing before I go. Be mindful. This is why association is very, very important. You have to guard your spiritual calling, your purposes with your very life. That's a boundary you should not let people cross. Because in my experience, when you let those boundaries be crossed and you'll be 20, 30 years down the line and not living out your purpose simply because you're not in alignment. And you're not in alignment because of your associations. You're allowing whatever their purpose is to string you along. And what I wanted to say is this. When you watch people and they always finding their outlets are entertainment, they always want to be in the company of others without no real purposeful accompaniment. Like me, I don't mind being in the company of others, but I'm very mindful of who I'm in the company with because of, by where they live, because I can understand they got attachments and I don't want those attachments because it can interfere with me. But if they, the alignment is and we're kind of on the same focus level, I'll spend a considerable amount of time with people. Like if I want to be a billionaire, guess where I got to go be at? Hanging out with those folks. Trying to find my way into the door, either by way of reading their books, if they're teaching something, or even going to one of their seminars. And if not, getting even closer than that. But be where they are. If you want to be in a successful relationship or marriage, you need to be around people who have that. But what I was saying is, most people who don't have a purpose find distractions in looking for the purpose through things and people. And you might just be one of them. You might be one of their distractions. Because usually people that don't have real direction always telling people what their direction is. And they know what's better, good for you. And don't know nothing. They ain't really got no good ideas for themselves. See, I'm not here to tell you what your purpose is. All I'm here to tell you is you got one. And the only place you're going to find where it is and how to do it is in you through meditation, that secret place. Go and close that door and get within yourself. And I know because of all of the high anxiety that's in this world today, it's very hard to go into a meditative state. I know it. I feel it. I try to do it, and man, it's work. Like you got to basically, it's like working out to stay in a meditative state because if you don't turn the phone off, it'll be dinging or somebody. You ever try to go and really take time for yourself, and the first second you sit down, somebody calling you. And guess what? It usually be the person that you don't need to be talking to. It's like that energy knows you trying to change, and it's trying to pull you back. All right, we got some comments here. Then we're gonna shut it down. Okay, we got Luke and Apple who says, peace to gods and much light to all. And as always, I tell you guys, peace, prosperity, and extreme prosperity to all. I forgot to add that. DJ OJ says, peace almighty. James says hello. DJ OJ says, I heard that whisper something ain't right in my late 20s. Yeah, it's always a whisper. Don't be yelling at you. It's just like, yo, this ain't right. Very calm. The truth is calm. It just be speaking. Now it ain't gonna fight with you if you oppose it. It's okay. Well, I done told you what the truth is. You can take it or leave it. That's how the truth works. It's almost like what Christ told his disciples when they go to people's house and they don't want to accept it, the word, shake the dust off and move on. Bless them, wish them a good well, and move on. That's how the truth is and within you. If you won't accept it, okay, well, you keep getting knocked upside your head. I done told you. I ain't gonna fight you to believe me or not. Y'all know. Y'all sit there and ask for the truth, and the truth be sitting right there and it show up, and you get upset. Remember what I said about acceptance? That's the key to all suffering. You don't accept what the truth is. You don't accept what's happening to you right now. Accept it. Oh wow, okay. Money ain't right now. Okay. Well, let's change that. Stop looking at what you don't have and look at what you do have. And be thankful for that and look at what you want to have as if you already have it. You want the big house? Wake up every morning and imagine yourself in that big house and actually live in it. Live in it in your head. Want the nice car? Pick out the car. Don't look at the price. Don't care about the price, and go drive that car in your mind. Even go down to there was like a lot of those multi-level marketing schemes. That's one of the things they'll teach you. Go down to the dealership and drive that fancy car. Take it for a test drive. And actually, that's one of the best advices that they give, because you get in there and you feel that in the excitement of it, you'll put your whole focus on getting that, and you'll get it. You'll put so many things aside, make so many sacrifices to get that thing. But I don't suggest you go out and buy a high priced car before you go get you a nice house. Or build up a nice bank account. So first, see yourself with the money, the billions, whatever you want. See yourself having that, that bank account, those digits. Pretend that bank account has 7, 8, 9 figures in it. Just see it. And once you see it, be thankful for it, that you can see it. And be thankful that you already have it. See, to the untrained or unconscious mind, that's called wishful thinking. It's not realistic. So what? Let them think that. Excuse me. All right. DJ OJ says, I am the great I am. Fred Mitchell says, thumbs up. Then the fear of God kicks in. The movie Heretic, the theme was Control. Very good movie. Yeah, I told you. I said, yeah. That was a crazy movie. I suggest everybody watch it. You speak and teach an open-minded truth, something that most of today's religions don't do, in my opinion. They teach one-track minded with lies attached. Yeah, I have to agree with that, bro. Dr. Teresa Apaya, through the Holy Spirit and your teachings, I have been able to find courage and strength to release negative thoughts about my present life and to release people who didn't deserve access to me. Absolutely. Even God cut off the devil from heaven. Okay, you got to cut the devil off. And what I mean by devil, those adversarial thinking people, those adversarial, you got to cut them off. Some people are just in your life as a spiritual vampire. They know you, they see the power within you because they don't have, see, when a person don't have power, they go try to steal power somewhere else. When they don't know how to create their own power, be self-sufficient, be self-sustaining in their spirituality and believing that they are the I am, they are the Christ that they're looking for, they're going to try to take the Christ out of you. Okay? This is why people go to churches and they drain the pastor dry. Come, pastor, help me. Do this one. Tell me this, tell me that. Drain because they vampires. Because it's clear that you got to go get your own spiritual strength. I cannot exercise spiritually for you. I can only exercise spiritually for myself. Yeah, I get up and I talk these things. But you got to go do the work. People got to go do the work for themselves, and they don't want that. That's too much. They'd rather get their ears tickled. Oh, they'll be all right. Just wait on God. He'll take care of it. See, that's the kind of lazy preaching that they give people, to be lazy and wait on God this and wait on God that. And God said, don't worry about tomorrow because tomorrow has its own worries. It says, take care of the now. Take care right now. And that means get your Christ mind in order now so that tomorrow will be automatically taken care of. If you prepare now, prepare your mind, your consciousness, that's where it all starts. Everything will be provided. Once you understand that all the wealth, all the riches is yours to have, just like these other millionaires and billionaires, it's yours too. You're wealthy, just like them. You just don't have it in this physical world right now. And because you have not connected to the energy and the vibration of that, you don't see yourself as having it. You see a lesser version. You say, well, just give me 100,000. I'll do something with that. Thank you, Pastor. Thank you. You're welcome. And at the everyone fire, most hated bronze, flat power God. That's what he said. That's all the comments. Remember who you are. You are the divine manifestation of God. You are a true representation of God, consciously or unconsciously. So the only thing you need to do is get your alignment with that idea. That's the great idea. Because once you align with that, everything falls into place. You won't sit there worrying about whether you're going to be able to pay your bills. You'll know they're paid already. These man-made problems that they've created, that we've accepted into our life. All right, with that being said, peace, prosperity, and extreme wealth to everyone. Y'all have a good rest of your day. Till next time. I'm here to tell you, you can be successful. You can do it if you're persistent. Persistent in blocking out the negative interference. Persistent in keeping on your goals. And make a definite plan of how you're going to accomplish it. What you want it to look like. See it as if it's already built that way.